Associate Member of Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria and current Chairman of the Lagos Advertising and Ideas Festival. Please let's make welcome Mr. Steve Babaeko.
I'm actually no longer the publicity secretary of the AAAN. I'm actually the new vice president of the AAAN. So I'm so happy to be here. When he told me my session was 9 o'clock in the morning, I had to wake up like around 5 o'clock to get ready because of the rain and the traffic. I hate to be late. But I was a little cranky at first, and then I had the opportunity to listen to Dr. Cosmos Maduka. So instead of being upset, I should say thank you, Faith Foundation, because that was really inspiring. I have just 20 minutes to just set the scene. I took the liberty to make some slides. Hopefully, the lights will let you can see very clearly. Is it possible to save the light somehow so that it will be clearer? How do you build a successful business in the creative space? The moderator introduced me as the CEO of X3M Ideas. I hear that a lot, but I made it a point of duty, even if the Pope, God bless the Pope, ever pronounces that name wrongly, I will, even though there's papal infallibility, I will look at the Pope and say, Your Honor, you're wrong. It's actually pronounced Extreme. So it's Extreme Ideas. Yeah, Extreme Ideas started in 2012 with just 7 people. Let me just cut the story short. Today, across the group of companies, we hire over 100 people. Thank you very much. And not only do we operate in Nigeria very well, this year we scaled up and we now operate in 5 other African countries. So that is the summary of our story. So how do you build a successful business in the creative space? Well, I just crave your indulgence and say close your eyes for like 30 seconds, and imagine a world without creativity. Just close your eyes if you can. For like 30 seconds. Just imagine it. What would this world be like without creativity? Okay, let me save us the torture. There's a passage in the Bible. This is ironic because I don't go to church quite often as I should. There's that passage in the Bible that says, and the world was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Genesis 1 verse 2. I think that's the state that captures a world without creativity for me. And God just said, let there be light, and everything changed. So that's how it is. Creativity is life. There's nothing we do in this world that creativity is the life essence itself, which is why for those of us who are privileged to operate within this space, we're actually a special breed, we're a special few. And in some cases, it's actually the lifeblood of a nation. The moderator quite said that part of the reason why Nigeria was bold enough to thump our chest and say we are the biggest economy in Africa was because we based the GDP based on some of the unaccounted revenue that comes from within the creative space, movie, music, etc. So in our case, creativity and that creative industry is actually one of the it's a major source of our lifeblood in this country. So why does the industry not get the full respect it deserves? You ask yourself this a lot. When you see people get given national honors and titles, GON, GCON, maybe you find 1 out of 20 that belongs to this space. So why don't we get the respect that we deserve? A couple of reasons I have tried to adduce for this travesty. I said the lack of structure. As creative people, we tend to be everywhere. Anywhere but left face kind of attitude. Let's just do it. We don't try to put structure and infrastructure behind what we do. And that's why people don't actually see a lot of work that goes on. It's like a duck floating on the river. You just see the duck moving smoothly. You don't know how much paddling and struggling that goes on underneath. So people don't take us serious because there's no structure they can see. Unlike Dr. Cosmos Maduka, he has his Costaris motors, he has a showroom. You can see how many Land Rover and Range Rover he has. So for Tobes, who is busy doing his photography and really working hard, sometimes we just think the man is having fun. You don't know how much energy he puts behind his work. So that lack of structure is one of our nemesis. Ad hoc nature of the industry. Because people don't wake up one day and say, look, I'm going to be a creative entrepreneur and operate as a creative in this space. Most of us are accidental creatives. People studied engineering, they studied animal science, and one day they just woke up. My passion, actually, I realized that even though my parents pushed me to study law, I'm not a lawyer. I really want to operate. So it's very ad hoc. Some people have been groomed. Maybe they are lawyers in their family. You know this one is going to be a lawyer. They've been training them to be lawyers from. So you don't find that articulated in our own industry. And then the narrow pipeline, because the pipeline is actually narrow, because we don't have a structured education that prepares people to go into this space. We are just seeing Mugomoya. People are just crossing and branching. So that narrow pipeline does not allow for proper grooming. When you see somebody that grew up in the British royal family, from the one when they are born, they are already training you to become either a soldier. They train you to become so many things, to become a royal. So you don't see that pipeline that allows people to come into that field. And that's part of the headache we have. Funding issues, of course, I'm not even going to belabor this point. I'm sure there's nobody in this room that cannot tell a story or two about the difficulty we've had raising funds. So now we've explained, we've showcased all of this myriad of problems. How do you build a successful creative business still? Honestly, with all of the challenges and all of the things I've articulated and I've highlighted this morning, I made bold to say that there is no country where I could have tried what I tried in 2012 and be alive to tell the story today. Quit a lucrative job, I was executive business director. I was creative director / business director in one of the highest paying agencies in the country at the time, and I quit my job and I set up another agency. And instead of me being at home drinking Gary, Faith Foundation is calling me to come and give a lecture. It's only in Nigeria because this place is still a land of opportunity in spite of all of the challenges that we face. Thank you. I just wish the government will get it right and we can get a much more purposeful government in place that will be able to harness all of the creative energy that we have in this room. So one of the key reasons, key ways to build a successful business is self-belief. So that's why I say it looks like maybe Dr. Maduka saw some of my slides, because without belief, you can't do nothing. It starts with you coming to that conscious realization to say, I can do this. And until that moment when it strikes you to say, this can actually be done, then you've not gotten started. Think big, start small. Like I said, I see young people, oh, Steve, I really want to be like you. I'm like, yeah, I really pray to God you become bigger than me. But the thing is that I started with 7 people. Even though if we tell our story today about how we are in such and such countries, we're in South Africa, we're just about to open the Zambian office, Botswana, Mozambique. We went to South Central Africa where we thought that there's a good opportunity. From Johannesburg, we are able to crisscross into all of those borders and operate our business there and service some clients that we have there. But we started with just 7 people. But the vision to be big has always been there. And part of the vision is just to set up a network on our own. When I started this business in 1995 as a young copywriter, the pride of every advertising entrepreneur was to become, to take the name of another bigger network from abroad and say something and something, Sachi and Sachi, something and something, Ogilvy, all of those double barrel names. Until the owners of those names now came and said, not only do we want to give you your name, we want to take over your business now. Now people start to panic. So it's like you swallowed fish and the bone has hooked your throat. So everybody's complaining. People are taking themselves to court left, right, and center, and people are giving each other bloody noses. But we now said, that is one way to look at this business. Another way is what if we build our own network ourselves? Will the police arrest us if we build a name and other people from other countries start to take that name and use it in their countries? And today we're getting requests to say, come to Ghana. I was in Ghana last week to speak, and almost about 5 people came to me to say, please, we would like to use the Extreme franchise. We had never thought of franchising, but with all of the requests we got there, I'm beginning to think maybe if there's a way we can work out that business, it won't be such a bad idea to do. But you have to start small and think big, but start very small. Challenge tradition. I just spoke to that. You know, if you come to extreme ideas, what you find is that the 99% of the people who work there are really young people. I detest that tradition that says, for you to become responsible and to be in a position of responsibility, you have to be old and have gray hair coming out of your armpit. It doesn't work with me. Young people have brilliant ideas. Young people, this world is meant for young people. And the classic example I give is that when Chinua Achebe wrote Things Fall Apart, he was probably around 28, 29. And that man is an accomplished writer, and I doubt if in his lifetime he wrote another book that topped that one. So you can imagine if somebody looked at Chinua Achebe at 28 and said, you have no fresh idea, you have nothing to offer the literary world. And it's the same thing. So you must be able to look tradition in the face and say, I respect tradition, I'm going to take the positive aspect of it, I'm going to discard those ones that pull us back. And unless we are able to challenge tradition, you might not be able to find a way forward. That's how we used to do it in Timbuktu in 1971, is the mantra of agencies that are going to die tomorrow, or the agencies that or businesses that are dead already. Learn to speak money fluently. Money has its own special language, it has its own special code. One of the Achilles heels of most creative people is that we really don't understand how money works. It comes in, you go. Look at that man, the way he was saying it. He said he dropped out of high school or whatever. But the man already knows. This is the book for my sales. This is the one for my expenditure. If 7 naira is more than, he will find, that is the principle of accounting. As a creative person, as a young copywriter, I remember in MC and Research in 1995, I had just taken the job. 2 months after I took that job, I now understood the fundamentals of forget how creative works. That's what I do. I was a copywriter. But I now started to learn about the fundamental of the advertising business. What's the business model? How do we generate money? The moment I found out, 2 months later, I went to the finance department and I asked them, how are we doing our projection versus actual? The accountant almost had a heart attack. What do you know about projection and versus actual? You're a creative person. What are you doing in this office? I said, I want to know, because if we are behind, then it means that if I get a brief on my table, I should work on it quicker. Because I then understood within 2 months that the only way to turn around money is if you get a brief, work on it, the client approves it, and then we make money. But most creative people don't understand that. So I know finance is one of my biggest weaknesses. Every year since I started Extreme, from 2013, I was in Howard in DC. 2014, I was in Columbia in New York. 2015, I was in Harvard. 2016, I was in Stanford. The dollar went up against the naira, so I wasn't able to do 2017 and 2018. But the point is, I went there to study leadership and finance, so that if my accountant wants to run rings around me, he will find me at the end of the road when he's finished running. And I asked the right question. So learn to speak the language of money very fluently. Collaborate. Most of the time, we want to do it alone. Sometimes, I know how difficult it is to find the right partnership in this country. Honestly, one of the things I'm happy I did with Extreme is that I went alone. But it's the lonely highway to travel. If I have to do it again, maybe I'll look for partners. So collaborate. You might not even have partners, but look for other people within the same space that you can collaborate on. I give this example at most places I speak these days. Look at the telecom space. At some point, it became very expensive for all of the telecoms company to erect their mast and then put generators. In fact, you put 2 generators in case one breaks down, the other one takes off. You buy diesel to power those generators. You now put security guards to guard both the diesel and the generator. So when they saw that this thing was killing them, nobody told them. All of them came together and said, you know what? Let us all share one mask. So there's what they call co-location now. So both MTN and Airtel, forget all of the fightings you see behind the scene. They share the same infrastructure to reduce cost. We can do the same as creative people. Look for problems to solve. Life is not just about making money. And sometimes you are looking to make money, but the money you make actually will be in solving problems. You see? So is there any way you can creatively intervene by providing solution? But the Nigerian mentality is that I want hammer. The God of Dangote and God of Otedola, pick up my call. I mean, the man, but the man is asking you, go and look for problems to solve. That's how I'm going to answer your call. But we don't even want to listen. We're always thinking about money. I say, especially with young people, the energy we spend trying to think about how to make money, if we put that same energy in trying to find how to solve problems, we will never ever think of making money again because we'll have more than enough. So how do you look for problems to solve? And how do you get value out of it? Know when to scale. Sometimes it's a good thing as a filmmaker, you're just doing your film small, abele, and you're giving it to small. Know when do I need to scale and move to the next level, which was what Dr. Maduka was talking about. Bring experts, let them look at your processes. Because you see, we don't want to put in processes in place, and without processes, we'll not get anywhere. So always know the right trigger point for scaling, and don't be afraid to fail. There will be failure at every place you turn. Don't be afraid to fail. Like something they say in Silicon Valley, fail fast. They are not saying don't fail, but fail fast and move on quickly and do the next thing. And I think know when to hit the refresh button. Sometimes as creative, you've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years. You've become used to, oh, this is how it used to go. Stop it. Hit the refresh button at some point and say, okay, let me start again. There's this, my own personal saying, sometimes even when it's not broken, break it and put it together again. That's what I do. Because what you don't want to set in is lethargy where you just relax and say, it's us now, this is how we do it. And that's when you get kicked off your high horse. And technology, contrary to most opinion, people think technology is our enemy. Technology actually could be your best friend. How do you look at technology and be able to tap into it to help you grow? Today, in the world of creativity and within the space we operate in, there's no local company. Anything you do, if you're able to tap into the power of technology, every one of us here will run a global company. Because there's nothing you do and you put on the internet that the whole world is not watching and cannot see. So stop thinking that small. And embrace your crazy side. You see, there's no successful person that does not have that crazy side to them. From Richard Branson to every other to Dr. Mike Adenuga, who is a very wonderful person, I can say, because I've been working for him for the past 1 year. It's one of the most brilliant persons I've ever met in my entire life. I look at him and he inspires me. There was one day we were at the table, he said, have you ever worked in a morgue before? I'm like, no, sir. He said, I used to work in a morgue. I used to drive taxis in New York. I did not fall from the sky. The streets made me. So when I'm reading your story and you're saying you came from Kaduna to Lagos and you didn't know anybody, I just laugh at you. I'm like, yes, chairman. You know, so we all have this story, but embrace your crazy side, embrace it tightly because that may make the difference for you. And the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who actually do. That's by Steve Jobs. Thank you very much.
Hello. Okay, so just wow, that was awesome. So we'll just go straight into sessions where we'll also be able to get questions from you, the audience, but we'll also have two other speakers who would come and join us up now and share some things before we go into that. So let me start by introducing, she's the founder and CEO of Zephyr Events. She's regarded as one of Nigeria's pioneering event planners. She has planned and organized several high-profile events within and outside Nigeria and has won several awards and recognition, including being featured in CNN's Inside Africa for planning a Nigerian royal wedding. And she is the author of the Essential Handbook. I still remember I was at that event. Please let's make welcome Mrs. Funke Bucknor Obruthe. I have known her before I started my career. I've been attending her events. Please sit down. Next person is a dietitian and fitness professional. She's the founder of Shredder Gang, a unique professional nutrition and fitness company committed to helping individuals lead healthier and happier lives through bespoke approach. She is an alumnus of the University of Toronto, where she obtained a degree in clinical psychology and dietetics. I hope that's how to pronounce it. Shoulder was inspired from her own personal experience of weight loss, adventure, and subsequently transformation. She's recognized as one of Nigeria's 100 most inspiring women by Leading Ladies Africa in 2017, amongst other accolades. Please let's make welcome Bunmi George. I have in our midst here also my chairman of the organizing committee for this conference, Mr. McMiddle. And I've seen one of our boss them in the creative industry, Mr. Bunmi Davis. I'll tell you one of the things I enjoy about the creative industry. For you to set up practice to be a doctor, you need to be certified by a certain body. For you to be certified, for you to set up practice to do different things, you need certain certifications. The beauty of the creative industry is that you can go for a 2-week course and become that thing and start making money from that business. It's just beautiful. So we're basically talking about how do we build successful businesses in the creative space. That's basically what we're here to talk about. I believe that most of us here are people in the creative space. And if you really, really look at it, let's ask ourselves, amongst the biggest businesses in Nigeria, how many of them play in the creative space? I am privileged to have I studied filmmaking in Hollywood. And I always like to share this story. In my time in LA, I remember I was in Universal Studios. That was where my film school was. So one of those times I decided to go and visit, because when you use this, the underground train, they tell you if you continue this route, you go to this place, you go to that. So I remember I decided, let me visit their head office of Universal Studios. And I remember stopping at that train station and, you use escalators to come up. And as I came up, it was their building was the first thing I saw. And I remember something, I think some of the most powerful things are the things you say without thinking about it, that just jumps out of your mouth. I remember something came out of, and I said it in pidgin English. I remember what I said was, man, I feel money then you build this thing. Because there are banks in the US that their building was not that big. If you know, Universal Studios is as big as like VI. Their studios. It's massive. And I said to myself, these people just use this to create this. So I believe there's so much you can do in the creative space. But let me find out from them. Let me start with Bunmi. How can we build successful businesses in the creative space?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I will just talk about my own journey and how I came about doing this. 5 years ago, I'll say 6 years ago, I am in the health and fitness sector. There was nothing that had tailored to fit weight loss and fitness. All there was herbs, pills, things that were not really healthy. And then I was on a journey to lose weight, and I lost 55 kg on my own, eating purely Nigerian foods. And so I then decided that I was going to then help other people on this journey to lose weight as well. And then when I tell people that this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to help people online to lose weight. People are like, how's that going to work? How are you going to do that? That's never been done in Nigeria. And I'm like, okay, watch me do it. And 5 years down the line, I've been able to create, it was just like you said, sir, there's so many opportunities in Nigeria. And for me, I felt like it was we're like a large forest, and then you have the capacity to create your own path. And so I decided that, you know what, this is a niche that I think that I can go into and I can succeed, because I have, one, the expertise, and I have the practicability, meaning that I've lost the weight, I know what exactly you're feeling, so I can help you. And so that was how I started. And I just kept pushing. And, you know, when I started 5 years ago, because people didn't really understand it, they were used to the old way, which is basically just using what was popular then, you know, herbs, you know. So people went to the gym, yes, but, you know, now there's such a big culture for fitness in Nigeria, and that only started really like 5-6 years ago. And so it was really about just understanding and being fearless that, you know what, I have this idea and I believe that it can work, and not taking no for an answer. And so, of course, sometimes I got doors shut in my face, but I mean, I didn't let that stop me from, you know, keeping telling people that, you know, this is the right way to do it. And just really, and then social media was a big part of this movement, I would say. Again, social media had been around for a little bit, but Instagram had a way of allowing you to interact with people in a different way. And so I decided to then open an Instagram page. And all I did was post content every single day. So content that was important to my target audience. So basically, 79% of people that follow me on social media are women. And what are the things that women want to hear about? Okay, everybody wants to be slim. That's just the truth. People have kids, they gain weight, they want to lose the weight, they want to know how to eat when they're pregnant, they want to know what to do when they're breastfeeding, so that they don't, when their mother comes for mugo, they don't give them all the food that they need to eat, and then they gain weight, and then you know, have now overweight, you know. So things like that. What birth control can I go on and make sure I don't gain any weight? Things like that. So we started pushing a lot of content, and you know, that started getting a lot of traction, and that was basically how we grew this business to Nigeria's #1 weight loss community.
Inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, that is events planning sitting right there in Nigeria for you. You know, I've known her for a while, and her drive and passion is amazing. You know, right from those days when I used to produce 53 Extra, I used to always go for events to cover them for our TV program. So, and her business is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, event planning company in Nigeria. So, please listen to her. Can we talk about how did you grow your business to where it is?
How do you grow your business to where it is? Wow, thank you very much for the honor, the privilege. So, how do you grow your business to where it is today? I think that first of all, the key thing in anything or for any business is the power of consistency. Once you are consistent in what you're doing and you stay with it, you will get to where you should go. And as she said about her journey, my journey started at a time when people didn't even know what event planning was in Nigeria. It didn't really exist, apart from maybe one of my fellow event planners, Just Weddings, who had just started previously, and that was when, you know, people knew about events. So I was coming into a space that practically didn't exist, and people didn't know what it was about. Everybody was used to the cultural way of planning events. My auntie will cook, my uncle will bring the chairs, my sister will buy Coke, you know, and they would plan the event. There was nothing like, oh, the stage had to look a particular way, or the decor, or the band, you know, and that was how we were doing events. So introducing wedding planning, because we started as wedding planners, you know, into the industry was something that was very new, and you know, and people resisted it. People resisted. Parents resisted it. Parents, especially the young people. What I think what helped was that the young people that were coming in from America the young people that were coming back from school understood it, and they were like, oh, we saw this in America, we saw this in London, oh, it's fine, it can work. So the first thing was, of course, planning events for people with free of charge, without charging, just because you wanted them to see the value. And people saw the value, and then later they were able to say, you know what, we'll need event planners. But the second part, or the second challenge, or that you will always face, is once your business starts growing, how do you make it become relevant? We've been in this for 15 years and still being rated at between the top 3 event planners in Nigeria. I think it's something that is not a simple feat, because if you've been doing this for 15 years, you know that there are different generations that have come and gone. And what it is that being able to, as I said, being consistent, being able to also innovate and reinvent oneself is also very important, because you cannot say that you are number one and stay there. Oh, we're the first event planning company, whatever. You will just stay there and die. So the key thing is that people say if you don't innovate, you will die. So it's important to realize that you need to reinvent. How do you reinvent? Look at what is happening. Predict the trends. Predict what is going to change, what is going to happen. What are people looking for? What do people look for now? I mean, in my wildest dreams, I never knew that. First of all, I didn't see Instagram coming. Maybe some people saw it, so me, I didn't see it. What did Instagram do for the industry? The Instagram showcased the work. I needed to work. I didn't care about the frills. Instagram showcased the frills. And then you just had to adapt. How do you adapt? What are the younger people looking for? Don't forget that when we started, I was about 25 years old when I started. So my friends were getting married. Now, it is my friends' sisters that are getting married. And they are also younger planners. So how do you reinvent yourself to make them realize that the brand that they knew 15 years ago is still a brand that they can use? I mean, if these are events, I plan events for people's sisters and brothers. Some people now, they are children. I almost the one coming to plan events. So how do you reinvent? I had to rebrand. So don't be afraid when you're trying to grow your business to look at your strategy and say, how do we change the strategy? What do we need to do? How do we need to reinvent ourselves? We're always looking at what to do. Every single time, we're always looking. I'm always looking. Oh, that's why nowadays, you see me, I wear trainers. I hated the idea. Why do people wear trainers with their dress? But now I realized that the young people felt it was trendy. I started wearing trainers. I wear a dress, I wear trainers. I go for a meeting. They will say, oh my gosh, she's so trendy. She's young. She's like us. Yes, so that you will come and use us. You know? So it's very important to reinvent. Consistency. Be true to your brand. Don't say that also because things are changing. What your brand is known for, the quality, the service delivery that the brand is known for, stick with it. Continue to invest in your team. Help them. Make them feel, look, I've learned a lot in life. I was a very tough boss. I'm still a tough boss, but I think I was tougher. Now I'm a bit better. But then I didn't understand a lot of things that people were going. I didn't have time, because in my own life, I was not a very I don't want to say empathic. I had to learn empathy. Emotional intelligence, I had to go and learn it. Because I was like, look, if you are ill, what is my, look, even me, I'm standing here, I'm ill, and I'm working, so what is your problem? I had my child 9 months, two of my children, I had them the day after an event. I went to the hospital the day after. So I had an event that day. In fact, there was one, I went to the hospital the day in the night. I just told the doctor, okay, it's time. You know, that kind of thing, let's have the baby. I don't know how to deal with some issues. So I had to go and learn it. To say, okay, some people are struggling with some issues. So in terms of HR, you know, in terms of building the right team, teaching them, equipping them, empowering them. People now, I mean, we did an event recently and everybody was like, oh my God, the Sapphire team, they did this. I'm like, you don't even know the back end work. There's a lot of back end work. There's a lot of mistakes that were made. So, and even I as a human being, I fail sometimes. Right? So it's very important, building the right team, consistency, reinventing yourself, just also having a clear vision. Having a clear vision is important. Look, I'm so sorry that I'm taking time, but honestly, when I started, to be truthful with you, when I started out of a passion, out of the fact that I just love organizing events. What is it? This chair, put it to the left. You stand here, go like this. I didn't even know it was called event planning, but I just knew that I'd been doing this for my friends for a long time. I was always the person. You know, if you look at me, I'm hyper. You can see everybody sitting. Me, I've moved like this, I've moved like this. If I could have stood up from this chair, I would have stood up. I am hyper. I am energetic. How did I apply this into what I'm doing? Some people don't even like it. Some people think I'm even too energetic. I say, now you sabi. Some people say she dances too much. That is me. I like it. And I also, that's why I said, be true to your value, to yourself. You have to understand the brand that your organization is about. If you are the kind of organization that is known for creativity, stay with it. If you are the one that is known for coordination, stay with it. If you are the one that is known for a particular type of makeup, stay with it. I'm just saying that it's very important for us to also be true to ourselves, be true to the value that we bring to the table, and just not be what they call it, just because people say it's like this, we go like this. People say it's like this, we go like this. Be consistent, stay true to your brand, blah, la, 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 and I think we'll have more when we do the question and answer.
Thank you very much. I think my first question is actually, that's very cool. Someone is asking, how did you build structure in your organization in spite of the loose nature of the creative space?
How do you, what?
So how do you build structure in your organization?
Okay. Well, I think it's something of the mind, something you must be willing to do. Because for most creative people, like I said in my presentation, it's more like anywhere belly face. You just want to make money. We just don't come to it with a much more articulated process in mind. And without the processes, we'll never really become anything tangible. I'll give an example of extreme ideas. When we started, even though we were just 7, I knew getting the right people on the bus was a must win. So we were looking for the best fit. Young people, actually 70% of our team had never practiced advertising before in their lives. It was 2012 was the year where most people were returning from abroad because, the 2008 economic crash had given them about 3-4 years notice to say it makes more sense to come and suffer in Nigeria than to stay in America or in London and die. So a couple of them were coming. So we took advantage of that. We took people who were really well exposed and everything, and we tried to train them. So we had our own experience. So getting that right team is part of the process. Secondly, what we also did was, there are certain basic things like insurance to insure your team. From day one, we knew we wanted to have insurance coverage for our team in case somebody falls and breaks a leg in the office. And I promise you, the year we started, that August 1, 2012, we did not even have the money to pay for the premium. We took insurance policy on credit because there was a certain structure that we wanted in our mind. Within 2 months, we finished paying. We were paying in bits and pieces, So basic structures like that. How do you structure finance so that I still know, I worked in agency business now for close to maybe 22, 23 years. Believe me, I still know of agencies that have been in existence for 20 years where the MD basically still walks around with the checkbook of the agency in his breast pocket and can just dispense and write as he wants. But how do you have a proper finance structure? It could be a one-man team, it could be a two-man team. You can even outsource if you know you don't have the capacity. But in terms of how does the book look? We prepare a book as if we are ready to sell tomorrow. And if you really want to sell and you want to sell to serious venture capitalists, they are going to look at your books. If the whole thing is a mess, then you're reducing the value of the company. See, so all of those things, there are structured processes that you must take into account, and being able to lay down those structure and those processes without still becoming slavish about it is the most important thing I think a creative business can do.
Okay, it's a very important question here. And, there are 2 questions. One is how do you stay relevant? But the second one is something that really gets to me, and it's something that has to do with pricing. It says, how do you negotiate? Can you share tips on negotiating price with clients? And I know for those of us in the creative industry, pricing is always a major issue because there are some people that will do something for 10,000 and they are now offering that same service for $1 million. So how do we price? Answer the question.
Well, for me, it's first build a brand. Okay, there are so many people who will say, oh, they are just using me. I hear that a lot in Nigeria. Oh, they are just using me. But if you come to think about it, the only reason why they are using you is because you are useful. Nobody uses somebody that's useless. So it's a starting point. So people get hungry, and you see, there's nobody that has ever made it and done something wonderful that wasn't used. Okay? So, but that's you being used is actually not, doesn't take away from you. It's actually supposed to empower you. Because it is in knowing that I'm being used now because they are trying to underprice me that you know you have value that you offer. So how do you now build on that value and build a brand that will now start to use other people? Because you will use other, because there's a point where you are no longer chasing after businesses. If you built on those value that you think you have and empowered your business, they are looking for you. There are clients who will come to meet us and say, Extreme, we want to work with you, but we don't think we can afford you. I just smile, because I don't try to encourage you to say, actually, we are affordable. It's not like we're not affordable, but it depends on the task you're giving us. You're going to pay commensurate to the task. So we have the value in that brand now to dictate, to say, sorry, sir, this can no longer be sufficient for the task you are giving us. We want 50 naira instead. You can now negotiate your value, but without building on that inherent value that you have and the power, you just sit down like most Nigerians and you'll be whining and complaining, but I'm sorry, it's not going to change your fate.
Yes, and I think almost like what he said, it's very important that you've built your brand. It's also very important that even in pricing, you know your value, you know your worth. Sometimes you have to walk away from some jobs. Even as we are now in Zafaya, we still do some events for free. But you can never know it's for free, because the way we do the event, you think we're paid $10 million for that event. So sometimes, and we do it for free, and there are many reasons why you will do an event for free. But that one is, by the way. But I think that what it is that once you've been able to build your brand, build yourself up to that level where you can determine. Because what it is that, look, everybody is different. And every brand is different. We all know about the banks. We all know about so many brands. You know that there are some banks, if you walk into their banking hall, you may not see many people there. Some banks, when you walk into the banking hall, they're like people queuing from the beginning to the end of the place. They all have different customers. Everybody's not your customer. So some people may come to your organization and they may not be your customer. They're not your clients. Some people will say, Zafaya is expensive. We can't even approach them. Sometimes in my mind, I'll say, maybe you're not our customer. In my mind, though. Don't delete that. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But really, on a more serious note, but what it is that everybody has the value of what the organization. There are many, for example, there are many event planners in Nigeria. There are many. And everybody is going to charge differently. Nobody's going to charge the same way. But you have to determine what is that worth of your own organization. What is the brand? Some people are going to come to you. For example, this year, when we did the Dangote wedding, for example, and, a few weddings and all that this year, even me, when they came, I was even thinking, so they know Zafaya. Honestly, in my mind, I was like, I didn't even know they knew us. I was like, hey. So they know us. Oh, wow. So immediately they came. I said, all right. Okay, then. And then, some clients now, when you give them bill, they will even say, give us discount. Not the kind. Thank you. Give them your bill and you go. And then, of course, along the way, always ask feedback. I always ask feedback. Why did you come to this brand? What are you looking for in this brand? And then clients will always tell you, it's because of this, it's because of that. So it's always very important that when, along the way, look for the why people are using your organization, stick with that, build on that, and then you know what? Those people, that right clients will come to you and they'll be able to pay what you're worth.
Yes. So how do you stay relevant? I'll use our organization as a case study. So we have. So when you're the first, you have an advantage and you have a disadvantage, because when somebody sees that you're doing something, you're doing it well, it's like, I think I can do that as well. 1 billion people have come after me who have lost weight as well in Nigerian diets, and everybody has now become a weight loss coach, right? And so 2 years into me doing this, I found out that, oh my goodness, there are so many other people doing this now. And so why do they come to me and not go to the next person? And so I now had to think about, you need to innovate. You need to make something that will make you stand out. That's how you remain relevant. And I started to think, what does the market need now? You also need to look at consumer patterns. What do they want, right? And so I now looked at myself. I'm like, what would I want if I was the consumer. So understanding consumer behavior. And so I said, you know what, at that point I was pregnant and I had gone to have my baby and I needed a postpartum belt. And so I bought a postpartum belt and it was not great at all. At this point, dollar was rising. It was probably like 500 naira to $1. And I was thinking to myself, why should Nigerian women, and I knew people that were in Nigeria that were buying that same brand, and it was crap. I then called my husband and I said, I think this is what we're going to do. We're going to now move into from services to products. So you need to know when you should make the move. And so I said, this is what we're going to do. And he says, I understand that niche, but I need you to find a niche, another product that can serve everybody. I don't want you to only serve pregnant women, serve the entire Nigeria. Think of something that you're going to do. Then I thought about, okay, I'll make a waist trimmer belt. And so I then did my research and made those 2 belts and launched it into the market. It was a banger. Nigerians went crazy. We sold maybe 1,000 in the first week or something like that. It was crazy. And so we now knew that, okay, this is good. We kept doing it. Of course, other people came behind them making the belts. And I decided that, you know what, there are problems with this belt. I'm going to improve on the quality. And so I looked at it and I said, you know what, these ones are this size. I'm going to make it bigger and this and this and this and that. And now I then knocked the competition out of the way, because without a doubt, you know that if you buy a product from Shoulder Gang, this is the reason why you're buying it. So you must also differentiate. That's the way you stay relevant. Because people will say, well, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same. This is this and this is this. You can get this for this price. You can get this knockoff for a lower price, but this is the difference. Now, another thing is understanding when to launch a product into the market. If you have a fantastic product and it's not the time yet, it's useless. And so 2 years ago, everybody knows the fitness smart band, right? 2 years ago, it wasn't very popular in Nigeria. That's just the truth. And I thought about it and I said, you know what? After moving from the belts, and I saw the belts were doing fantastically well, I was like, you know, what else can I do? And I thought about doing the fitness band. And I thought to myself, Nigerians are not ready right now for this. If you put this into the market, some people will buy, some people will not buy, because they don't really see the need.
I'm learning it now, because I have a movie in cinemas titled Sylvia that I produced. And
Titled Sylvia?
No, I produced Sylvia.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice. I didn't know that.
And I know marketing is a major thing. How do we market our services? And second question is, yes, for the ladies here. How do you manage your business and your married life as a woman? So, how do you take it? No, I didn't want to. Last questions.
Okay, so I'll just touch on a bit of both, because I'll say that we have been able to leverage on marketing with social media. And so you need to understand that social media is so powerful. It's such a powerful tool these days that you can use to market. And so leverage on social media. So if it's paid sponsored posts where you do up a post where you share from Facebook to Instagram, and that way shared, depending on how much you're willing to pay for it, you can share it across, maybe 10,000 people, 20,000 people in select, so if you want Abuja, Port Harcourt, where your target market is really, you can do that. Another thing that you can do as well is that you can find your target market. So wherever your target market, for instance, maybe you sell beauty products. You want to go to pages of people who are influencers in that sector. So you don't just go to advise to anybody because, they have 1 million followers. No, you need to make sure that this person that you want to advertise with has your target audience, so that when they advertise for you, then you get, the followers, and then that you can translate that into sales. So very, very important as well. You need to make sure that you're able to make that distinction. And then moving forward to, maybe I'll leave that one from FBO, but anyway, I've not been married for too long, married for 4 years, but I'll say that it's not easy. That's the truth. When you have kids, you are doing school run, and then I'm a new mom. She's more of a rookie in this, and so I feel like maybe it's going to be harder for me now, because I have the toddlers and stuff like that. It's just really putting structure in place. You really need to push, just like your business. Your home has to run, with a lot of structure. So for me, if you can get help, get help. So if you need nannies, you can't really do everything by yourself. Not you can't really, you can't. You can't do everything by yourself, especially if you're running a business. You need to be able to delegate things. So for instance, My kids I have 2 kids, I have 2 nannies. If you can afford it, get it, right? That way, I know that they're taken care of. In terms of food, like, you maybe want, if your husband is the kind of person that says, I must eat your food, you probably have to just find a way to, maybe on weekends, you say, okay, I have time between 6 o'clock on Saturday and 9 o'clock, and you make the food and you put it in the freezer. Somebody maybe warms the rice or boils the rice or fries the plantain. At least the major part of it is done by you, and you do it. It's just about finding what works for your family and doing it. Really, there's no pattern, there's no cookie cutter approach, to be very honest. What works for me might not work for FBO, and so you just need to find out what works best for you and do it. But the thing about it is that you just need to have structure. You cannot just be happy-go-lucky and just let's just see how it goes. It's not going to work.
So I'm not going to talk about the marketing. I think she's talked about it, and I'll let Mr. Steve also talk about the marketing. What she said is, to each person their own. You have to know your home, know your husband, know your spouse. As a wife, know your husband. As a husband, know your wife. And make sure that you don't start what you can't finish. So you're not the kind of person that already starts with, every day I'm going to be cooking fresh stew for you, my love. When you know that some weeks you may be in Port Harcourt or Kano for 1 week, how will you be eating your fresh stew? So he has to learn how to not eat that fresh stew. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Those were the things that I had to do. I'm very different. And my mom helped me. So sometimes when my husband even says things like, I want to eat, babes, you've not even, oh yeah. So I'll say, okay, no problem. I'll go down to the kitchen. I'll just stand by the kitchen there, be dancing. They'll warm the food. I'll just bring it up. Okay, what do you want? What men look for, and as a woman, and especially a woman that runs her own business, it's very tough, because what I see is that some men want a woman that seems respectful and submissive and da-di-da-di-da-di-da. I'm not a feminist, right? But at the same time, I've also learned that you have to understand your spouse. You have to understand your family, your home. I have older children now. I mean, my daughter is 10. The other one is 9. It's tougher for me now because now I have to try and bond with my daughter. She's getting older. She's going to be a teenager. So I try and do a lot of things. Even like this Saturday, I had like 12 children with me. We just hung out from morning till night because I just wanted my daughter and her friends to hang out with me. I knew that next weekend I'm working. I'm not going to be available. Upper weekend, I'm not going to be available. So as much as I can, I make myself available when I can. If I can drop them off in school, I do it. If I can pick them up, I can. I try. But it's not easy. And one thing I want to let everybody know, and even as women, is that we cannot have everything all the time. Some things you have to sacrifice, and it's going to be tough. There are days that you're going to cry and say that you are not the best mom or you are not the best wife. It happens to everybody. There are days that you will feel inadequate. But what I want you to know is that every single person is going through that issue that you have. Don't make yourself feel guilty or feel bad about what is happening. Do the best that you can. Do the best. There are people that I know that have done the best for their children and their children still didn't turn out right. So don't make yourself feel bad. Don't make yourself say, oh, look at what that person is doing. This one's daughter is getting A's. Is it because I was not there? Is it because I didn't carry my child? Is it because I didn't do this? It happens. It happens. So please, just make sure you know what works for you. Understand it. The days that you need to be a lioness at home, be. The day that you need to be meek, be. The day that you need to say, sir, say sir. The day that you need to say, honey, say honey. The day that you need to say, what is this one saying? Say it. But understand. Understand. And also another thing also is to have a good support structure. So my nanny has been with me for 9 years. 9 years. It is rare. Even me, every day, I kneel down, I say, thank you, Jesus. She's been with me for 9 years. I can give her I don't care. Even if one part of the house there seems dirty. And my husband says, look at that place. In my mind, I was like, oh, let's not shout too much. Oh. It's okay. I'll just say, that place, clean it. She needs to be happy. Oh. She needs to be happy. So that my life can be balanced.
I think we should put FBO and Dr. Cosmos together in the next session. Well, talking about marketing, the first thing I would recommend is that don't do this at home. Always talk to a professional. Of course, for obvious reason I say that. And if you want to talk to professionals, make sure you talk to a AAAN registered professional. Yeah, but having said that, I mean, FBO did mention about using social media is today that you can use. I'll give you a practical example. There's this gentleman called Falz the Bad Guy. If you know him, raise up your hand. Great, of course. Yeah, he does something that I find very, very intriguing when it comes to marketing himself or his next single. There was one single he put out way back in the days, maybe like a year ago, called Hello Bay. Maybe not one of his greatest songs, but the way he marketed it, that thing was, everybody was saying it, people were doing skits about it. By the time he released the song, boom. To quote Bunmi, it was a banger.
Banger.
And then he went, the recent, before he released that song, he was already talking about, oh, we have this group called the Sweet Boys Association, all the ridiculous good-looking guys that we not so good-looking guys love to hate are members of that group, Banky W, a lot of them. They even opened a website. Falz says he's the president of the Sweet Boys Association. He gave a presidential address. And the way they will say he had already released his song. You see, people today, if you come and say the way we used to do it, Omo washes brighter and it shows, 4-spot 1, nobody's going to listen to you. People need a bit of light entertainment. So how can you take the most difficult, break it down in the most simple way that people can connect with? If you can do that, trust me, you'll succeed. Thank you.
Well, it's been awesome, but we have run out of time. I would like to thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So we'll continue at the other hall.